It's game number 2 now of this best of 3. King Sejong Station is going to be the host to it. And as I mentioned, there is just one game standing between one of these players and a spot in Season 2 of WCS EU Challenger. It's going to be ridiculously close. It's going to be miraculously marvelous. And it's going to be perfectly good. I'm hoping for it. I'm hoping for it to be amazing. I think it will be after game 1. Anyway, spawning in the lower right-hand position. He won that first game. It was back and forth, but he got it. We've got the red Protoss player representing Team Liquid, MaNa. And to the top left, his opponent, the blue Zerg, playing for Roccat. It's Dimaga. So, Dimaga put up a solid fight game number 1. It was really close. It could have gone either way multiple times. And I'm not just saying that for the tension building or for the viewer count or that dirty esports dollars from the ad revenue. But no. It was tense. And there's so much on the line. Seriously, it's crazy. Like, WCS spots are like gold dust to players. Getting in there is not being in WCS season or in a WCS season. Even if you're an established player with a good following and stuff like that, not being in WCS hurts. It's where the attention is. It's where the money is. It's where the reliability is in terms of tournaments and seedings and WCS points and stuff like that. So it's a lot. It means a lot to these players who are both very well known in the scene. Both opening the same way they did in game 1. Dimaga with that early pull. MaNa with the Nexus first. Double gases again coming down nice and early. And the important thing to know about King Sejong Station is that it's actually really quite wide to get into this natural. So these wall-offs get a bit funky. You have to incorporate the Vespian Geyser into it. I believe the best way to actually go about it is to use the Vespian Geyser as part of the wall-off, but I think there's a gap there. There must be. So precisely how you go about walling it off is all very interesting. I think you put something in there and it works. I don't know. I haven't cast enough games on it. This is like the 3rd game I've cast on this map. Anyway, Dimaga, confident, taking his 3rd really fast, just as we saw in game number 2. And it's looking good. So, are we going to be able to see Dimaga get success with that Roach Hydra Viper composition? Or, Roach Hydra Corruptor. Or mainly Ling Hydra Corruptor. Or are we going to see Dimaga switch more into, say, maybe Roach Hydra Viper, which a lot of Zerg players have been using to great effect recently? It's going to be, obviously, time that tells us, but for the most part, it'll ring around rosy here with those Zerglings trying to find another probe kill. We've got 1 so far, which is always good. The Mothership Core, though, is just like, no. Stop your messing around, Zerglings. Go back to bed. Dimaga, droning heavily. He should be feeling pretty safe at the moment because he knows that with a Nexus first, there's not much pressure that can come through. A Stargate is on its way, but there's a key difference with this Stargate. It's hidden. Well, it's not actually hidden, it's just at the back of the base, which is more hidden than it was last game. Last game it was just like, here. It's like, hi, I'm a Stargate. That Overlord that I can see, it can see me. I know that you know what's coming. This time MaNa's like, what if I put it back a bit and catch him by surprise? Maybe it'll work nicely, maybe it won't. Up to Dimaga. I don't think he's going to be able to get an Overlord in though, because I don't think quick look, yeah. He's just got this 1 Overlord actually. Anywhere close. And that means that since it's dead, this Stargate is not going to be seen for a while. It's going to be an Oracle. That's why it's hidden. Your opponent seeing the Phoenix are coming isn't a bad thing. It's just like, oh, you got Phoenix coming, cool story. I'm going to get some Spore Callers down. I'm probably going to take a bit of damage, but I can drone. I can drone so hard. An Oracle, though, if it doesn't do damage, it's wasted resources, and it's really annoying losing that. Definitely not what you want to happen. But if it gets some damage down, it can be devastatingly effective. So Dimaga, just spreading out his lings at the moment, discovering that a Zealot, a Stalker, and a Mothership Core coming to poke at his third, so a couple more Lings being produced here. But this may throw Dimaga off, because this little poking and prodding generally is followed up by more gateway pressure. And Dimaga really is playing blind. He hasn't seen anything other than there was a Nexus first. That Queen will now fall. That's a big loss if it goes down. Stalker desperately trying to chase after, needs one more hit, gets it, big pick off. Only 2 Queens remain, so 1 inject is going to be missing for quite a while. A lot of drones are being pulled as well. Less pressure onto that. The Oracle now coming through as well, and since the Queen's dead, there's less pressure for that. The Oracle racking up a good number of kills already. Going to be duking it out with that Queen. It's going to be close, but the Queen will lose the fight. Dimaga down to only 1 Queen. Missing injects, losing production. The Oracle able to start working through it. A couple more of these Lings. Doesn't want to go back and fight though. Oh, it's a nice green firework at the very least. But still, nice aggressive opening there from MaNa. Taking down the 2 Queens takes down production substantially. That's like 8 less lava there will never be. And that hurts. 8 lava is actually a decent amount of production. That's 8 drones, 16 Zerglings, or like 8 roaches or whatever. So, not something that's really wanted. It means that Dimaga is going to be banking up a decent chunk of minerals because he just can't spend them, even after making a macro hatch. There's also a huge number of Zealots here. Not the most common thing you see off the back of this, but there's a second Oracle on its way across, and there's a lot of Zealots here. This is 12 Zealots. No roaches have yet been seen. There's none on the field, even though there is a roach roaring. And these Lings can't stop this. Lings just cannot stop that many Zealots, especially when they've got +1 and a 2-shotting them. The Queen just running away. The Queen can't survive though, you're going to get pinned in. Again, that goes down. MaNa's Oracle now here. Once the Spore Call is dead, he can have a party. So many Zealots here. 16 roaches on their way through, but the third should go down in time. The Oracle racking up a couple of kills. The roaches are there. I'm surprised the MaNa's not actually going straight for that third base. Time Warp being used. Some Stalkers coming in from the back. MaNa being ultra aggressive this game. Racking up some more kills, forcing more and more units out of Dimaga, preventing him from droning. Preventing him from really producing. And that's what's hurting Dimaga this game. He's only at 50 drones. The third hatch is going to be very close to dying. Is it going to go down? Yes, it does. Just in the nick of time. Such a close call there by MaNa. And now, he's just in such... Dimaga's in such an awkward spot. Dimaga needs to do something, but what do you do here? Voidways are coming out, knowing that there's so many roaches. Voidways shred through roaches thanks to them being armored. MaNa's also getting out Colossi. Again, great against Lings, great against roaches. Dimaga does have his lair, doesn't have any lair tech though, down yet. Doesn't have any upgrades other than the +1 carapace. +1 armor about to kick in now for MaNa. Dimaga retaking his third, and I think his only option is try and take a 4th base. But again, this Oracle moving in. Up to 9 kills now, backs out. Spore Caller gets a couple of nice shots out. MaNa looking to take his third, but a counter-attack coming through now from Dimaga. This third base likely to cancel, but it buys a bit of time. Chrono Boost should be spent on some Immortals. Also should be spent on those Voidways. They need to get out in time. MaNa is going to be able to save it for the moment. Cancels it though anyway, but in comes the engagement. These force fields, brilliant. Zoning out a lot of the army, buying more time. The Voidway has nothing to contend with, so it can just start working away at a lot of these roaches, but currently targeting a couple of Lings, which isn't great. But Dimaga losing these forces, losing health on these forces, not ideally what he wants. Producing a lot more Lings, and I'm really not quite sure what Dimaga's hoping to achieve with this. There's the Spire, but he's so low on gas. He needs these 2 gases to make this work. I'm trying to think if there's anything or what Dimaga can really do now to make this work. And I still feel that he should have double expanded. This pressure is going to be so difficult to get through because of just the composition that's in. Unless MaNa moves right out into the middle like this. This was a bit of a misstep by MaNa. He's going to get completely surrounded. And there's so much here for Dimaga. MaNa moving right into open space where force fields can't protect him, where chokes can't protect him. He's going to lose all of his ground army. The Voidways will be able to clean up the rest. But will it be in time? Will it be before this third base is forced to cancel? The roaches can go down fast, the Colossus can take down the Ling, so yes, it should be. But there's a follow-on. This Oracle is being a hero. 17 workers killed. Dimaga only had 48 workers, compared to the 50 of MaNa. MaNa's lacking gateway support for his units though, and he's only at 4 gates. That's why he doesn't have too much here. Needs some more gateways, ideally, to pump out some more stuff. Dimaga's somehow still in this game. It's so ridiculously tense here. Dimaga fighting to stay in this qualifier. MaNa so close to taking this game and taking the spot in Challenger League. Oracle coming back in, looking to get some more kills. Gonna be able to. And Dimaga losing these drones is really starting to hurt him. He's feeling it badly. This Oracle may have the most kills I've seen outside of Bronze League. 23 kills on it. That is really high. 33 workers have been killed. Such great harassment from MaNa. More Void Rays are here now. And so the Corruptor choice is really surprising. Because sure, the Corruptors counter the Colossi, but Void Rays counter Corruptors really well. Corruptors, while they're anti-air units, Void Rays do great against armored thanks to prismatic alignment. And Corruptors, of course, are armored. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works. Creep spread from Dimaga is looking good, pushing it out forward, but there's still no 4th base. He's on equal bases with MaNa, and only up by 2 workers. How does this work? Well, game number 1 we saw actually Dimaga make it work quite a few times. And that makes it really interesting. Because on paper, MaNa should have a monumental lead here. And his army supply does say that that is the case. But a couple of times MaNa has gone out of position. As we saw earlier, where he lost all of his ground force. And that's never something that you really want to allow to happen. MaNa's still skirting around the side. Of course, Dimaga gonna discover it now. Knows it's there. Will reposition his army. Corruptor count up at 10. Facing off against 5 Void Rays and 12 Stalkers. But they've only got to kill 2 Colossi. Ideally. No sign of counterattacks or anything like that coming through yet. So all of this is just Dimaga trying to find a good way to engage upon this force. And he's done it. Once this game, a couple of times last game. So I'm not ruling him out yet. The longer MaNa takes to engage without a proxy pylon for reinforcements close by, the better it gets. Void Ray on its lonesome like that is precisely what Dimaga's looking for. For these Stalkers, good little blink. Snipe some of those down. MaNa's still sitting comfortably here. Needs to change these gateways into warp gates to get that extra production coming through. He's adding some more through, but engagement now coming down in the center. The Corruptors able to focus out one of those Colossi very fast, but the Void Rays tearing through it. The Stalkers on the ground getting a nice amount of damage down. The Colossus being flanked from behind is about to fall. The Void Rays taking a lot of damage from those Hydralisks, but the Stalkers getting some nice damage through. All the Colossi now dead. Another wave of Warpins on their way through. Both armies obliterated. But MaNa just staying up thanks to some nice blink micro. Fractionally more army supply in that fight, but thanks to the reinforcements, thanks to the macro hatchery, Dimaga keeping his head above water. Without the Colossi, it's going to be really hard to engage this Ling Hydra heavy force. If not impossible. The Stalkers just melt to it. So it's tough to do. On their retreat, trying to pick off any creep tumors that they can. But they risk getting pinned. Luckily, thanks to Blink, they can get away. More Colossi coming through. MaNa banking up quite a lot of minerals, actually. And still hasn't changed these gateways through to warp gates. And this is just showing that there's a lot of pressure on these two. It's really tense. So little bumps like this do come through. Finally now realizing we'll be able to add that. But he's now defending Ling Hydra with gateway only units. Needs this Colossus, needs the next Colossus to be on the field now. But just can't get it through fast enough. Chrono boosting onto the gateways. Waiting for his Colossus to come and join it. But his third Nexus looking ridiculously sketchy. But once you start seeing these Colossi up against Ling Hydra, you really have to pull back. There's not something you can do. Both players sitting on 3 bases, which really should favour MaNa. As a Zerg, you want to be a base up. And this is now 21 minutes of 3 base on 3 base. Dimaga mined out at his main, his natural getting really low. His third base is relatively high because he lost it earlier, but somehow still staying in. MaNa, despite looking like he's got some really big advantages, it's not like free sailing yet. He's not got a clean run or an open goal or whatever analogy you want to use. He's still struggling to just try and close out this game. Dimaga finding some proxy pylons now, going to take them off. Very much doubt this one over to the very right will get found, but the rest should get cleaned up. If this pylon goes down, it will supply block MaNa, and he doesn't actually have another one in production yet, just starting them up now. This is again frustrating. Army supply favouring Dimaga, but overall supply favouring Dimaga too. Work count though favouring MaNa. So MaNa has got the better economy. He has had the better economy for most of the game. Unfortunately, MaNa's main's mined out, so is Dimaga's though. Their natural bases should be mined out pretty similar times. Their third base is actually MaNa, in theory, will mine out quicker, but neither attempt. Okay, MaNa now attempting a fourth. This is big. If MaNa keeps that fourth, he should win the game. But I'm very tentative about that now because Dimaga's managed to stay equal on equal bases, which blows my brain a little bit. Quick check-in now at the army count. Lots of corruptors adding in here now. 17 corruptors. There's only the 4 voidways this time. Still a lot of stalkers. Upgrades aren't equal, but they're relatively similar. 3-1, 2-2 for Dimaga. 3-1, of course, for MaNa there. Dimaga moving around the side. Going to get a couple of his units picked off, but this means the 4th base completely open. However, Dimaga going to struggle to retreat out of this position. MaNa repositioning though, wants to be very careful of those corruptors. Gets a couple though for free. That's nice. Anytime you get free corruptors, you're very, very happy. Dimaga still pushing forward. Those corruptors going straight in. Down goes one of the Colossi, but the Voidway's getting some nice work done. Back on out. Doesn't want to engage when the force fields are there. His Hydras can't engage. 52 more Lings on the way through. The 4th base nearly done for Dimaga, and he's pushing in towards the 3rd. MaNa really struggling now. He's got to get a nice trade. If he takes out this army, it's still not over though. Dimaga staying in this, staying in the qualifier. He wants that challenger spot and he's fighting for it. MaNa poking, prodding, wanting to get those Colossi to get the hits off where they can without putting them at risk to this large group of corruptors. The Voidways as well, being a little bit careful, but big engagement coming through now. Nice force fields from MaNa. He backs out with the Colossi. The Corruptors over the Stalkers get taken out. The Stalkers safe thanks to these force fields. The Colossi getting some good damage through, but still the Corruptors are there. All 3 Colossi stay alive, but the Stalkers are falling. So many more Lings rallied across the map. Simultaneously, Zealots warping in to take out Dimaga's 4th base. Again, we're seeing both players neck and neck. So close between them. The Corruptor count nearly all gone. The Colossi 2 remain. The Stalker count falling rapidly though. Both players being mutually destructive yet again. But the important thing is MaNa kept both Colossi. So these Lings coming through are going to have a bit of a rough time. Dimaga having lost his 4th base. Just returning to the game quickly. Dimaga lost his 4th. That's why that GG came. Without the 4th base he couldn't continue on. And that means that MaNa advances 2-0. over Dimaga to get a spot in WCS EU Challenger.